you don't own a house or a car.
I'm a fucking multimillionaire.
Yeah, you're not a multimillionaire. You're not sitting there like absolutely on top of the world. The average person isn't you. The average person isn't you.
But they can be me.
Most
Americans are dumb, fat, broke losers.
Let me ask you
and they're trying to improve. And I'm giving them solutions. And you're like, no. Buy a house? Well, you just said don't buy it.
Why would you buy a car for you? Tell me.
To piss you off.
You're not gonna piss me off. Well, why would you buy a car? Because, guy, you understand what I just said to you. You're 19 years away from getting Social Security.
So what you want to do...
And 19 minutes from having an aneurysm.
So PBD...
Was your Russia hoax? This is the other hoax that you'll eventually come out of as well. But it's going to take a while until that comes out.
No, because this is with conviction. This is with life experience. That is just media bullshit.
It's a life with very few...
Look, I don't even know where to start with this one. So Adam's sitting here trying to tell PBD, a guy who's built multiple 9-figure businesses, that renting forever and never owning a house is somehow the smart financial move. And Patrick just absolutely dismantles him. Like, watch what happens when Adam tries to use himself as the example of why everyone should rent. PBD literally says, you're 45 years old, you don't own a house or a car, and Adam's comeback is, I'm a multimillionaire. Dude, the desperation is real. And here's the thing, Adam keeps trying to frame this as some revolutionary financial strategy, when really, it's just commitment issues dressed up as investment advice. PBD sees right through it and calls it out in the most savage way possible. Watch how this plays out. Let's get into it.
You could use basically the difference to build your business. I would make the argument that you don't have to be building a business. You can be building yourself. You are your own business. You are your number one asset. The number one...
Adam, I got the argument. I'm moving on to the next story. I'm thinking you're telling me some inside scoop you have on why the DeSantis doesn't own a house, and you're telling me you're building yourself.
Well, no, PBD, I'm not going to let you just bulldoze my argument here for a second.
I understand.
Because there's a lot of people out there that don't.
Adam, I understand what you're saying.
You do because you're smart.
You're 45 years old. You don't own a house or a car.
I'm a fucking multimillionaire.
Yeah, you're not a multimillionaire. You're not sitting there like absolutely on top of the world. The average person isn't you. The average person isn't you.
But they can be me.
No, that's not the best life.
Says who?
Says who?
You're saying having millions in the bank is not a good thing?
You think the fear of commitment to building something?
No. Okay,
no. What?
Go ahead. What are you about to say?
Go ahead. What are you about to say?
What are you about to say?
Why don't you own a house?
Because it's way better to rent.
For who?
For me.
You think for you it's better to rent?
100%.
You think it's good for you?
Because I'll give you numbers.
Yeah.
Because I've taken all the money.
I will agree it's better for all of us that you're not driving.
I'm totally...
That part, I'm fully with you.
We're on the same page
folks,
there.
I don't think it's a good idea. But
because I've taken all the money I've saved and I bought Bitcoin. I've invested into my 401k. Yeah. I've invested into ETFs. I've invested into index funds. And the money I would have made buying, which historically is, 3 to 5%, I've made 10, 20, 50, 100%.
Yeah.
That's math, PBD. You're a stats guy. You're a math guy. Tell me where I went wrong.
You.
And America's broke.
Let me ask you
Most Americans are dumb, fat, broke losers.
Let me ask you
and they're trying to improve. And I'm giving them solutions. And you're like, no. Buy a house? Well, you just said don't buy a house.
Are you ever planning on owning a home?
Eventually, yes.
Why is that?
Eventually.
No. But when will your argument be right?
Well, from a numbers perspective, it might never be right.
Okay, perfect.
But from an emotional perspective...
I would much rather have you keep that argument and not contradict yourself. So tell me...
I've been very clear on this, sir.
Will you ever own a car?
If my wife wants me to buy her a car, yeah, we got to take some kids around.
But will you ever own a car for you?
Maybe, but it's not a top priority.
Why would you buy a car for you? Tell me.
To piss you off.
You're not going to piss me off. Well, why would you buy a car? Because the argument
I'm not anti-buying a car. I do. It's funny how you...
Okay, so here's what just happened, and you gotta understand how perfect this breakdown is. Adam just tried to compare himself, a 45-year-old single guy with zero dependents and no real commitments, to a 25-year-old starting out. And PBD immediately sees the problem. Like, Adam's whole argument is, I put my money in Bitcoin and index funds instead of a house, and I made more returns. Cool, bro. You also don't have a wife. You don't have kids. You don't have any actual responsibilities that require stability. You're living like you're still in your 20s. And notice how PBD keeps asking him, will you ever own a home? And Adam says, eventually, yes. So even Adam knows his own argument has an expiration date. He admits it might never be right from a numbers perspective, but then says from an emotional perspective, dude, what? So you're gonna buy a house eventually because of emotions, but you're telling everyone else not to buy one because of math? Make it make sense. Here's what Adam's really doing. He's taking his very specific situation, single, no kids, high income, can afford to take risks, and trying to make it a universal rule for everyone. That's not financial advice. That's just describing your life and pretending it's a strategy. And PBD calls him out on it perfectly when he says it's a life with very few commitments. That's the whole thing right there. Look, if you're 25 and building a business and you need liquidity, sure, rent. PBD literally said that in his article. But Adam's trying to turn that into never buy a house ever because you can make more in crypto. Bro, you know what happens to people who never build equity? They're 65 years old, still writing rent checks. And Bitcoin's not going to pay your rent when you're retired unless you time it perfectly, which most people won't. And the funniest part? Adam keeps saying most Americans are dumb, fat, broke losers, and then in the same breath says, but they can be me. My guy, if most Americans followed your advice and put all their money into Bitcoin and index funds instead of ever buying a house, they'd be even more broke. You know why? Because the average person doesn't have the discipline or the knowledge to manage a portfolio. But a house forces you to build wealth. You have to pay the mortgage. You can't panic sell your house because the market dipped. It's called forced savings. PBD understands this. Adam doesn't. Or maybe Adam does understand it, but he's so committed to this contrarian take that he can't back down now. Either way, let me know in the comments what you think. Is Adam actually onto something? Or is this just commitment phobia disguised as financial strategy?
It's funny how I love the breakdown that you did. It just came out on Valuetainment about why to do a prenup, why not to do a prenup. I love what you did there. Because what you did is you drew out the numbers. And you said, all right, so you want to have 4 kids, you want to have private school, how much is your mortgage, how much is your house? And you did the math. And I love that about what you did, that you did math. Most people cannot afford a house with a mortgage, with kids, with 2 cars in the garage, with food, with groceries, with insurance. The math don't math. And things have shifted so astronomically in America today that you're just going to be broke if you keep perpetuating the same bullshit. Get a mortgage,
Adam,
get your house and a car. I'm not saying you're perpetuating that, but most people are broke. Most people are paycheck to paycheck because they're following the old rules of life. Times have changed.
Our audience that watches whatever we talk about here, okay, the average person who's minimum wage, I guarantee you they're not watching a podcast. A minimum wage person would hate our podcast.
Probably, yes.
A minimum wage person hates people like us. The person who's begging to raise minimum wage, they're not going to like a podcast like this. They're going to be sitting here saying, I can't stand what these guys are talking about. That's what they're going to say. But the people that are watching, they want to grow. For a phase, I get it, to rent. I wrote the article. I said what I stood for. Then, when later on, when you decide to have a family, wife and kids, security matters, community matters, protection matters, many different things matter, finances matters, write-offs matter. There's a lot of other arguments on the opposite side.
I made that argument.
I know. I'm telling you.
I said if you're young and single, don't do it. If you're married and have a family, you may want to consider it.
Young and
Did
single,
I not say that?
Bro, you're not young.
I'm giving advice to people out there.
You're saying if you're young and
you
single.
don't think we have 25-year-olds who are watching this being like, I'm thinking about buying a house.
You're 19 years away from getting Social Security. This guy, you understand what I just said to you? You're 19 years away from getting Social Security.
So what you want to do,
and 19 minutes from having an aneurysm.
So PBD, what you want to do is make it about me. It's not about Adam. Adam's doing freaking great. I'm talking about the 25-year-old out there, the 30-year-old out there who's like, should I buy a place? No, Hector, keep your money. Save that money.
With the 25-year-old. I am with the 25-year-old. And by the way, That was your Russia hoax. This is the other hoax that you'll eventually come out of as well. But it's going to take a while until that comes out.
No, because this is with conviction. This is with life experience. That is just media bullshit.
It's a life with very few commitments.
All right, so let's wrap this up. Patrick Bet David absolutely destroyed Adam in this exchange, and it wasn't even close. Here's why PBD won. He didn't just argue against Adam's position. He exposed the flaw in the entire premise. Adam's trying to give life advice based on being a 45-year-old single guy with no kids and no car. That's not a financial strategy. That's just describing your life choices and pretending they're universal wisdom. And notice how Adam kept trying to make it about the math, but then admitted he'll probably buy a house eventually for emotional reasons. Bro, if your own argument falls apart the second you think about having a family, maybe it's not as bulletproof as you think. PBD saw that immediately. He kept pressing him. When will your argument be right? And Adam couldn't give a straight answer because there isn't one. Here's the reality. For some people, renting makes sense. If you're young, single, building a business, need flexibility, rent. PBD said that himself. But Adam's out here acting like owning a home is some trap that dumb people fall into. Meanwhile, millions of Americans have built generational wealth through real estate. It's literally the #1 way middle-class families build equity. But Adam wants you to believe that throwing everything into Bitcoin and hoping for 100% returns is the smarter move. That's not advice. That's gambling. And PBD calling him 19 years away from Social Security? Absolutely brutal. That's the kind of reality check Adam needed, because he's living in this perpetual bachelor mindset while trying to tell families how to manage their money. It doesn't work. Look, I get it. Adam's doing well. Good for him. But his path isn't everyone's path. And the fact that he can't see that, or won't admit it, is exactly why PBD had to shut this down. If you're out here thinking you should never own a home because some guy on a podcast put all his money in crypto, you're getting terrible advice. That's what we do here at MB. We break down the real conversations, we call out the BS, and we tell you what's actually going on. If you got value from this, smash that like button, drop a comment, and let me know if you think Adam's strategy is genius or just commitment issues wrapped in financial jargon. And subscribe if you haven't already, because we're doing this every single day. Stay sharp. I'll see you in the next one.